This is One Fat Boy, and here are my NBA game predictions for February 2nd of 2022. Tonight there is 9 games. I will be going over the spreads and over-unders. I got my spreads from FanDuel, and then my over-unders are a mix of FanDuel and just my thoughts on the overall game. For the Magic at the Pacers, I'm going with Indiana -5. Personally, I wouldn't be betting too much on the spread, but I will lean towards a Pacers win, as Pacers have been more consistent as of late, even just by a little bit, than the Magic, as Magic have been pretty sporadic in their wins. While Indiana as of late has been a little more consistent, and they have Sabonis back for the past few games, and he's just kind of a consistent pillar for them. And then overall, offensively for both teams, I think this should be a decently high-scoring game, so I'll be leaning towards the over 219.5, as the Magic can put up a lot of points, and the Pacers have been shown that they can put up a lot of points against a bunch of different teams and different styles. Like, they scored a lot against the Warriors, but then also struggled to score against other teams. But it just really depends on who decides to show up, but I think overall it should be a high-scoring game, and Indiana should sneak out with a win. For Washington at the 76ers, so with Embiid being back for the Sixers, this should be an easy win for Philadelphia, as they showed that they can win a game without Embiid and against a quality team like Memphis, so playing against the Wizards should be a cakewalk in theory. But still, it's an NBA game at the end of the day, but the Sixers should still win, and I think they should be able to cover the 9.5 spread that they're putting up. I will be leaning towards over 215.5, as the Wizards' defense shouldn't affect the Sixers at all. If Maxey and Harris show up like they did last game, this should be an easy win for the Wizards. Also, a lot of points scored by the Sixers too, because you know that Embiid's going to come back. He's going to have a 30-point game, or at least a high-scoring game, like high 20s, and then have a decent amount of rebounds too, like probably 11, 12, likely above, but around there. And then the Wizards, they can score a lot too, but not enough to beat the Sixers, so over 215.5. For Charlotte at Boston, I'll be leaning towards Boston -4.5. So Charlotte's not played great in their last outing, only scoring 90 points. Then Boston has been playing a lot better. They've been winning their games as of late, but I'll be leaning towards Boston beating Charlotte with the -4.5 spread. I will just lean towards Boston winning. I will view this as a closer game, or it should be at least, as if Charlotte has another shooting slump like they did last game, don't expect this game to be close. The only way that Charlotte will win this is on the back of their offense, while Boston can win it on the back of their defense, but also they can put up a lot of points and outshoot Charlotte. That's why we lean towards Boston just winning in general, as they have two ways of winning. I will be going with an over-under of 224.5 for this, as I do expect Charlotte to bounce back and have a good outing scoring-wise, and then Boston, I think, will outpace Charlotte, as Charlotte's defense shouldn't slow down. Like Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum, like both should be over 20, and be pretty safe choosing one of those for over 25 too. And then, yeah, so over 224.5. For Memphis at the Knicks, I lean towards Memphis -3, as they should want to bounce back against the 76ers loss. And who better than the Knicks, as it's kind of like the counterpart to Philadelphia. So the Knicks, they're just going to have a hard time scoring the ball, as they've done all season. And Memphis' defense and just their tenacity to get rebounds and loose balls, that'll lessen the possessions for the Knicks, so harder for them to score. The Knicks also play good defense, so expect Memphis to have a lower scoring game. So if there's a game for betting rebounds, or for certain players to get like extra rebounds, this would probably be the game, as there should be a lot of missed shots. We'll be going with under 217.5, as once again, I think these teams will struggle from the field. Not so much Memphis, like they should get closer averages, but not probably all the way there. Like no more past 110 points. Than the Knicks, I think, shouldn't break 100, as they'll probably struggle all game. And then Memphis should come out with a win. For Cleveland at Houston, so even with Garland being out for Cleveland too, I think Cleveland's better coached enough and just can rely on their team. This will probably be one of those games where they try and just win it for Garland because he's out. They'll just be like, hey, we just have to win this one game. And this probably be that, and against the lesser competition of the Houston Rockets. So I do expect Cleveland to come out and just cover a 3-point spread. I will be going under 219.5, as I think if Cleveland is going to win this, it is going to be on the back of their defense. And even though Houston doesn't play a lot of defense, so Cleveland should score a decent amount, I think Cleveland will be able to hold the Rockets down to a lower amount of points, as if this does turn into a shootout, Houston probably can sneak away with a win, but I think Cleveland's defense will lead them towards the win. For the Thunder at the Mavericks, I'll be going with OKC plus 11.5. So the Mavericks, they should win this game, but I think try to cover an 11.5 spread. I mean, their defense, that'll for sure help them overall, but they'd also have played good defense and have a good shooting night for that to happen. Even though OKC, not the best offensive team in the world, but they do give effort, freeing loose balls and rebounds, and they can hold teams down to a lesser amount of points too. So hence I'll be going with under 214.5, as I do expect the Mavericks to hold down to Thunder to a lesser amount of points, and then I expect the same in turn for OKC to play some better defense on the Mavericks, as they do have some possible answers to Doncic like in Giddey or Dort, but will it be enough to slow Doncic overall from getting his stats? Probably not enough, but I think they'll have to work a little bit more. But I will lean towards a lower scoring game than OKC just to keep the game close. For Brooklyn at Sacramento, so Brooklyn played last night, and they expended a lot of minutes on Harden and Irving, so I expect them to struggle against Sacramento, as they will likely sit one of them out, or possibly both, but both might play. But I'm just kind of leaning on one of them sitting out, so Sacramento should have a chance to win this game, or at least keep it close. Sacramento has to win eventually, and then Brooklyn, for them to win, their role players have to step up in the star players' absences. I will expect a high-scoring game, as Sacramento should take advantage of the Nets' poor defense, but I think the Nets, even with their role players, even if they're just playing role players, they can score on the Sacramento defense. And the role players for the Nets, in Mills, Claxton, Griffin, they can all step up and score the basketball. And yeah, should be high-scoring game. I'll lean towards it being close, but it's Brooklyn should win. But I wouldn't be surprised if Sacramento keeps things close and interesting. For Denver at Utah, I'll lean towards Denver plus 2. As for Utah, they are without Gobert and Mitchell still. So then even more weight is going to be put on Clarkson to lead the team, as Joe Ingles is out for the season. And I expect Jokic on Denver to take full advantage of this. This will be a high-scoring game, as I think neither team's defense will have an effect on the offense for both teams, as this should be high-scoring. I think the role players should get involved, so if you want to bet on assists for Jokic, this would be one of those games. Rebounds for Jokic too, as Gobert's not there, and Hassan Whiteside, he's also day-to-day too, so he might not even be playing, so Jokic should be able to grab as many rebounds as he wants, and then points-wise, he can score whenever he wants to and when he decides. But overall, Jokic should pretty much will Denver to a victory. Even though they played last night, he'll likely just wheel them to the win in a high-scoring game over 225.5. For Portland at the Lakers, I'll have to lean towards Lakers -3. So I do expect Portland to try and bounce back against that loss against OKC after only scoring 81 points. But I think the Lakers are kind of due for a win, and will likely be against a struggling Portland team. They're also playing in LA, so that's another advantage for them. Maybe. But Lakers, they should come away with when there's like Malik Monk, he can't do much more. Like, he's just carrying a bunch of bums. This should go over 221.5, as the defense for both these teams are not great. Should be open threes all around, and it just really just comes down to both teams just having to make those shots. So that's why I think it will go over 221.5. Thank you for watching. Comment any of your player props, any spreads or over-unders, or any of your predictions overall in the comments. And once again, thank you for watching.